Let's go!
Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. He's the coach, Phillip Roybal. And if you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Coach Roybal, how are we doing this evening?
We're doing fantastic. Well, I say fantastic. We'll get into that discussion later. But other than that, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And, all is well.
Well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I don't have a Valentine today, but that's all right. It means I ended up all right here. So
I'll be your Valentine, sunshine.
Oh, hey, man. I love it. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Welcome to the show. We got a lot of things to talk about tonight, but remember, you can definitely support the show with your tips through Venmo, Cash App, and the Super Chat Heart. You can always just get some cool gear from the podcast merchandise store. That's right under the coach. Go to bit.ly/CFB pod merch, or get your favorite Sooner gear right here above me. Through Fanatics, up to 65% off everything in the store. We get a small commission. You get your favorite gear. Win-win. Any of you Chiefs fans out there, you can get your championship gear right now, 75% off everything in that Fanatics store. Tell you what, a lot of stuff going on since the last time we talked, Coach. Obviously, we talked a little bit about the reasoning why it was kind of the sputter on Oklahoma and Texas being allowed out that year early. Yep. They finally decided to do it, and it really just seemed like it was a bunch of smoke coming from Fox and everybody else. And because when it turns out it was $100 million to get out. Essentially, they're not going to pay anything for the 99-year deal, from what I can tell. Texas is going to switch a game that was going to be at Austin the first time. They're going to be at Michigan instead. It's not really anything other than just swapping the game out. So essentially, $100 million, and the $100 million isn't even cutting a check. They just get it forfeited from their earnings from the Big 12 this season. They'll have some of it taken out of their SEC earnings in 2024. Everybody's out. Should be happy. Lots of pettiness still going around, but, anyway. I don't know. What did you think about all that when you saw it?
I tell you what, Jason, it worked out beautifully, I think, for Texas and OU. And the way the payout's going to occur is plain and simple. At the end of the day, we talked about it on the last show. It was one of those deals that I think, the Big 12 wanted to just jab and poke, right, and wanted their money too. And so, they're getting their money, and Texas OU are getting what they wanted out of it too, and that's get the hell out of the Big 12.
And when we talk about it, the thing is, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, but honestly, I feel like Brett Yormark, they ought to be just so freaking excited at the Big 12 to have a guy like this, because you've never had a dude that in that commissioner's chair since I've been covering the league at all that has been as forward thinking as this guy, enough to say, hey, you know what? We do need to get this deal done, because if we are going to survive as a conference, we need to focus on what really is a wobbly Pac-12 right now. They're putting out weird statements yesterday talking about how excited they are about their future, but they're not getting a TV deal. Nothing's happening. So, right, to me, it was a thing that, if for all the pettiness that is being said and talked about, you ought to be glad that you have a guy like that, because he is able to, he's not an old guy from one of these freaking schools that kind of worked his way up through administrations and stuff like that and became commissioner, old athletic director that's got allegiances and ties here and there or whatever. This guy is about business. He's about making it work the way it's supposed to work. And, I feel like it was the smartest thing that they could have done was to get him in there. It's just too bad that he couldn't get in there in time to save the conference, because now he's trying to resave the conference. And, it's it's a funny deal.
Yeah.
It's a funny deal to me. I feel like it was kind of a, how I feel about, how I feel about Bob Bowlesby. Mr.
How do you feel?
Yeah, he's been asleep at the job since he got it. So, they look at it this way: the Big 12 conference lost 6 members in just under a decade, or about 15 years tops. And then he's in here. The second that Texas and Oklahoma leave, then they are able to pull these 4. But to me, I feel like the best thing that he could possibly do. I know they're talking about the 4 corner schools, and they're talking about Oregon, and they're talking about Washington. I've got feelings about that, but I tell you what would be the best thing you could do to really kill it is they're talking to SMU and SDSU. I would just go get them, cut their legs right out from under them, and it's all over with, right? Hey, Adela, what's up? How's everybody? It's going to happen, Logan. This is the thing. I feel like they're definitely going to bring in Pac-12 schools, but you need to at least 16, I believe. But I also feel like if you just went and killed and got those 2 schools that they really want, because right now there's no. And here's the thing. If that's their first choice, then that means there's really nothing out. There's just nothing out there worth grabbing anymore, right? So it's just one of them deals where I feel like that's what they got to do to keep this thing alive. But again, yeah, we'll kind of stick with more OU stuff than anything else. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show, Miss Adela. Glad you're here. Listen, I would say, again, I feel like it's a good thing for everybody involved. I'm glad that OU and Texas are getting out of there. But let's talk about the fact that there is that much animosity still going back and forth. What do you feel like is going to happen as far as the OU and Texas? Do you feel like they're going to go in through and one of these teams is going to just whip the crap out of everybody and win this conference on the way out?
I hope they both beat the hell out of everybody in the conference.
Hey, me too. And that, it's hard for me to root for Texas ever, but
well, same for me with OU. But I'm telling you, I'd love to see both of them just kick everybody's ass and just leave that way.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. And the thing is we talked about this before. When you start looking at it, TCU, and somebody was saying last night in one of the chat spaces or something like that they felt like TCU could be the next Clemson type of stuff, and I'm like, what? They go to one playoff and get smoked in the championship game, and we're that's who you want to hitch your wagon to? Man, come on. There's no way that's what they're thinking. No way.
No.
Yeah. I don't think that, and I don't know how much they really care about getting guys like Tulane or any of them guys, but in any event, I can tell you now, if they don't add another team, it still wouldn't be TCU that I would expect to carry this conference. No way. So, Logan, I would think that your guys got a better chance of carrying the conference than TCU. Yeah, that's something we're going to talk about. So as far as this goes, can these guys go through and do it? Now, obviously, as we said before, when you start looking at the recruiting and the transfer portal and stuff like that, and Christian and I were talking about this with Logan yesterday, who doesn't like OU's coach? Huh? Jimmy, we like OU's coach. Who are you talking about? And all
it might have been me saying I don't like OU.
Oh,
I like their coach. It's not that.
No, man. It's and no. Well, I'm good with coaching. I'm good there. We never got a Michigan. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, Trav said did you say that on the last one? Yeah, man. I'm not even worried about. I don't care about any of that stuff. Here's the thing: those teams were not built to go win that thing. The one that was, Lincoln screwed it up. With the stupid squib kick and taking his foot off the gas in the Rose Bowl. I was there. You know, we've all seen it. But I do feel like this is a time that, you know, they could, because of the fact that when you look at recruiting, you look at their transfer portal, Oklahoma and Texas combined for 34 blue chip recruits in recruiting. The rest of the 12 in the conference, not the other 8 or whatever, the 12 other guys in the conference, they had 30 total. So, and, you know, obviously, I feel like especially Texas should be loaded to do it in this season. But, you know, I do feel like that's one of those deals where you should be able to go through and win this thing, because TCU is not going to be the same team. I think they lose week 1 to Colorado. I think that the best teams from the old Big 12 would be Baylor probably. Tech looks like it could be making a move there with Joey McGuire, maybe. You don't expect, but I mean, they got to show you, right?
Yeah.
And then of course you start looking at the new teams, and the one that you probably think is the best suited for competing would be BYU, but they looked shaky last year at times.
Yep.
UCF, I don't buy. You know, I don't buy them. And I know there's a lot of people out there saying a bunch of crap, but, you know, I just don't buy them. And they're going to be on the road at Oklahoma. Obviously, it'll be a big game for them because of Dylan Gabriel, but I just feel like this is a time where these two blue bloods, they should win, and they probably need to win going into the SEC. You think?
Oh, absolutely. They've got to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know what you guys think. Let us know what you think in there. Who's going to win the Big 12? If you were to handicap it, are they going to do it? And as somebody in here said it just a minute ago, and yeah, Hank, as you were saying, will the officials allow them to? Because as we've talked about, you had 4 holding calls against Texas and Oklahoma opponents last season. One of those came against a OU opponent.
Yep.
You know.
Well, I think you said it best earlier when we were talking, Jason, is, you know, back judge going to come up and make a tackle on a breakaway play. I mean,
yeah, Xavier Worthy's going to be streaking down the sideline, and he's going to go get tackled by the back judge in a close game.
Well, that's kind of the way it felt last year. I mean, or looked. I mean, that's the way it looked to me. And I'm not a fan, but at the end of the day, I mean, because
I can't be sure because they sure haven't showed it on television since then. But I can tell you one thing is that last game against Texas Tech, that field goal looked good to me in the overtime.
Yeah.
And it looked good to everybody in the stadium that I've heard from. And they had it wasn't that they didn't call it good so much. It's that all of a sudden they didn't have a camera on that side of the goalpost.
Yeah.
That seems odd. Odd when everywhere else in the American football country has a freaking, I mean, you can do it at high schools. They're doing replay now. Come on.
Yeah.
Give me that crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, horse collar tackle on Worthy. Oh my gosh. Is Texas and Oklahoma ever going to schedule Baylor again? I don't know. I mean, I don't think they really have a problem with Baylor so much, either one of them. I think they'd like to. I know Oklahoma would love to schedule Okie Light again. That's a for sure win in the non-con, and it doesn't look as bad. Baylor always wants to stay with Okie Light. I wouldn't blame them. I'd beat them every time.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, Oklahoma would beat Baylor too easily.
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, as much as I hate to say it, people better be ready to play OU next year.
Yeah. I feel, I mean, I hate to be, I don't want to say anything of drinking too much Kool-Aid. What I can tell you is what I have seen from the recruits, particularly the defensive guys.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about what we saw from PJ Adebawari, obviously in the Under Armour game. You had, I saw Makari Vickers just completely shut down an entire side of the field in the All-American Bowl in San Antonio. So I just feel like it's one of those things that they should be a lot better. Now, one of those things as far as when you start looking at offensively, they're definitely going to be better too. And they were already a top 15 program already as it was. So, they finished at 13th in the country. If the defense is even top 70, they should be 10 wins.
Yeah. Well,
if they're scoring about the same, 10 wins is not a lot to expect for Oklahoma.
And that's the perspective that I'm looking at too, Jason, is the defensive perspective, because that's where they've needed to improve for years.
Right.
They brought the talent in to do it. And so I think that's where we go.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, with some of the guys that they got in the portal, they've addressed the places that they weren't able to really, get somebody that's going to be all the way quickly guy. You know what I mean? We're going to get them now, or as far as the high school recruiting is concerned. What do we see in here? Like Cupcake Conference? Yeah, it's Gundy's. It's time for him to go on, man. But of course, I kind of hope he never does, because they're just going to suck as long as he's still there.
Hey, Jason, you need to be sure to remind everybody about all our good things we got going on.
Absolutely, guys. Don't forget. Hey, if you're not already a subscriber, please help us out with that. There's a lot of guys in here. We definitely need like and subscribe. Tell everybody about us. We definitely have ways that you can support the program without. On the other way, you can give us tips through Venmo, Cash App, or the Super Chat Heart. You can always buy that nice Horns Down podcast merchandise. I even saw Christian from Lone Star had bought one of those hats the other day, Coach.
Yes, absolutely.
I knew he would too. I knew he was a closet OU fan, dude. It's so funny, So I kind of figured that was what was coming. Again, you can always go on to Fanatics, buy your favorite team's gear, and get up to 65% off. If you are a Chiefs fan, I would be in there now to get 75% off through our link. We'll get a small commission. You get all that. But again, it's free to hit the like button, so make sure you're doing that for us every time. I appreciate it. And let us know kind of what you want to talk about more with this SEC stuff. With everything that's going on, we're going to talk a little bit about this scheduling. Looking at the scheduling coming up for the SEC, but, kind of talking about and just to finish off what we were talking about with OU and Texas. Texas and OU got the cake schedules. That's right. And they really should. Hey, listen, I'm not going to say 11 wins. I think that they could get to 10. I would probably have been happy before looking at the schedule at 8 wins. I definitely think they need to get 9 for OU. But I agree with you, Norwooding. The schedule is set up. The schedule is definitely set up for one of these two teams or both of them to play for the championship this season. When you start looking at it, there's really Texas leads the state twice.
Yeah.
Right? Twice. And but Baylor did get 8 home games. So they're going to be listen, I think that if Baylor's going to do anything if their quarterback looks better, they have a chance, but I don't know, man. Yeah, watch out. You'll get Logan all kinds of mad.
Hey, I'm just telling you, I know I'll get Logan fired up, but I'm just telling you, all everything that we've been seeing is they're headed in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. You want to see OU play LSU somewhere other than Louisiana? Why? You don't want to go do it at Baton Rouge, huh? It's kind of a wild place to play, that's for sure. I've been to a game at Baton Rouge before, man. It's
crazy.
They are crazy.
Yeah.
They are crazy down there. I think it'd be a lot of fun, but I don't know that it'd be a lot of fun for the Sooners. Utah's going to beat Baylor. Are they? They should. They should. Yeah. Again, we've talked about Utah a bunch. I feel like Kyle Whittingham is a top 3, 4, definitely top 5 coach in the country. Underrated. So I would expect that. I think that's who. If you want somebody that can carry the conference, moving forward, I would, and especially having BYU already here, I would be all over Utah.
Yeah,
I would be all over Utah, man. That's weird that Lone Star's saying that. That's a gimme for the Utes. So you trying to piss off Logan right now, there, Christian? Huh? I knew it. But yeah. So looking at, I'm going to say that I feel like one of these teams is definitely, they better do it. It's something that even I think that they should both be in the running to get there. One of them needs to win it. Do what you got to do, and that gives you momentum heading into obviously a much tougher conference. And you can kind of give a little middle finger on the way out. I think it's important. So that's just me. Now, looking ahead at the SEC in 2024, and folks, tell me what you think, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Now, okay. Oh, you're on the Lone Star now there, Logan? My bad. All right, so with the 3-6 schedule, everybody let us know who are the opponents going to be for Texas and Oklahoma. Because I want to tell you whether it is or isn't going to happen. Now, it's going to work is you have obviously three teams that you play every year. They're protected rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would have 6 games. The other 6 games in the conference would be against, they would rotate them every other year, home and home, or, home and away, obviously, for each team. So you're looking at a 9-game SEC schedule. That'd be a first for them. It'll be a first for the SEC. And you will have played everybody at least twice in a 4-year period, home and away. I love that schedule setup. I know who I hope is going to be on the OU schedule. I tend to wonder whether it's going to actually work out that way or not. So, Norwooding is the first to say it. Let's see. I hope OU. Let's see. Okay, but y'all are both in there? What the heck? All right. Well, then tell me who this is going to be. I hope OU gets Arkansas, A&M, and Texas for their 3. Yeah, I think that now that's a possibility, but I think that the Aggies probably bitch their way out of that. I do. I don't think it's going to happen. And I'll tell you why here in just a second, but let's see. OU will get Arkansas, Tejas, and Missouri. Yeah, I think that's possible. Nope, that's not possible. I'll tell you why. Here's why that can't happen. You get 2 upper half opponents, and you get 1 that's in the bottom half traditionally. Both of these teams are in the bottom half traditionally of the SEC. So it could be either or, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made it be Missouri. But I feel like it's definitely going to be Texas. There's no 2 ways around that. But I feel like it's going to, and I'll tell you who I think it's going to be in a minute, but it's got to be either or. It can't be both. Jimmy says Texas, Arkansas, and Missouri. See, same thing. Can't happen. Can't happen. So OU versus Texas, OU versus Arkansas, OU versus Mizzou. Yeah, folks. Again, as I said, the only reason it can't happen, and I think that that's what they probably want, but I don't see it happening. I don't think they get Arkansas either. I think that that's the one they're going to take. Arkansas is going to stick with LSU because that's turned into a rivalry. I agree with that. Although, yeah, and so that's what's going to happen there. Then Texas, because that was always, they've actually played them a couple of times in the last 10 years or so, and it's been tough on Texas, and then one of the Mississippi teams. So I think it's going to be, you think Arkansas is going to get LSU, Texas, and one of the Mississippi teams. I think Arkansas probably plays, yeah, it would have to be, but it'd be Mississippi State if they do that. I think they might stick them staying with Missouri, though, too. It could be. Now, let's see. Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee. Nope, no Tennessee, not happening. I'll tell you why in just a second. And this is Christian saying, I want y'all to get A&M. I want them to lose as much as possible. Yeah, I agree. I want them to get A&M too. I have a feeling that they're not going to do it because of the fact that A&M is going to complain and complain and complain. And it actually kind of looks like A&M has started to build a bit of a rivalry with LSU, having that 6 overtime game that's been real competitive between the two of them. Let's see. I'm hoping OU versus Missouri, Texas, and you think Florida. Yep. Okay. So let me tell you why these ones can't happen. You got Texas, LSU, Arkansas. That one could happen. Probably won't. OU, Missouri, Texas, Florida. Nope. All right. Let me tell you why. If you were to take the 16 teams that are going to be in it, and if you take what you know for sure that comes out of this conference, right? If you take what you know for sure out of that conference, and let's talk about, okay, Alabama every year is going to play what game? That's never going to go away. The Iron Bowl, right? They're also going to be playing Tennessee every year, right? That series has been going on longer than anybody here has been alive. So they're not going to get rid of that one either, right? So Alabama's out. That's not going to be an every year opponent. Florida every year plays Tennessee, every year plays Georgia in the world's largest cocktail party. That's always going to happen. Georgia always plays Tennessee, and the oldest rivalry in the South is Georgia-Auburn. It's not Alabama-Auburn, it's Georgia-Auburn. That one's not going away. More than likely, Georgia's going to also play South Carolina, I think, maybe, for their lower tier team. Tennessee, they always play Florida. They always play Alabama. So they're probably not going to be on your all-the-time schedule. Florida always plays Tennessee, always plays Georgia. They can't be on that every year schedule. Okay? That really only leaves in the top half, if you're talking top half teams or mid teams that are, somewhere between the top and lower half, Mississippi, LSU, Texas, A&M. That's it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, see, all right. So this isn't just my logic. I didn't just dream this stuff up, Stoopstified. This is definitely coming from within the conference now, and this is obviously a proposed scheduling system, which I do like. I like this a lot better than I like their divisions or their little pods that they were talking about, because of the fact that you're not going to get a bunch of this stuff that's going on where Alabama and Georgia don't play for freaking over 4 years in the regular season, right? They did last season, but they hadn't for 4 years up until that point. Now, they had ended up playing each other in the playoff, but that's because they both got in the playoff.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't see Arkansas or Missouri becoming a tier 1 program in a year or two either, because of the fact you would have to literally go. I don't feel like that's what's going to happen. I think they're going off traditional, what it's going to be, and then we'll go from there. You know what? We're going to let Drew in here to talk a little bit about this as well. Drew, welcome to the program. Welcome to the program, Drew.
What's up, man? Sorry,
How you doing?
Just got done watching the Duke basketball game. So,
I didn't know you were a Dookie.
I'm a Duke basketball fan, yes, sir. So,
oh man,
and I noticed Coach's hat. I'm sorry. So,
were they playing Notre Dame
tonight? Just played. It was a tough one. It was a battle. Yeah. So, what's up? We talking some more SEC expansion?
We are a little bit. We've been talking a little bit about that, and just kind of. I mean, that's obviously the big storyline right now around the country, especially around Oklahoma fans, Texas fans. We've got a few of both in here, so yeah. And we were just talking about this scheduling stuff that me and you talked about on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
And obviously, I've gotten a lot of feedback from it. I know you have too. Yeah. Definitely, you as we talked about, you're not going to get Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida None of those guys are going to be on the every year schedule. The really only opportunities for Oklahoma is going to be Texas, Texas A&M, LSU, Ole Miss as those. They're going to get 2 of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're getting Texas. That's not going anywhere.
No.
And then I would hope that it would be Texas A&M. I think it would be more of a money maker for the conference than anything else would. But I don't know that that's what's going to happen because of their kind of rivalry.
Oklahoma?
Yes.
Yeah, and I told you this yesterday when we were talking. I would much rather have Arkansas on our schedule than A&M, just for the simple fact that
right. But they're on different sides of that tier line.
It's closer proximity to both schools, and there's so many fans in between. Like you have the Tulsa area, you have all that right there, and it is. I mean, it would be a huge moneymaker for the SEC because there's already a little bit of bad blood between the two fan bases. I don't know why, because we haven't played each other in years, but it's just, we've played each other in basketball.
But it's 200 miles away. That's why.
Yeah.
That's
and so
why.
I think that would be a very intriguing matchup every year. I would love to see that.
Except I feel like that they have kind of built, and I mean, in going back to the old days of the Southwest Conference and stuff like that, or was it the Big 8 that Texas got into eventually? It was the Southwest Conference, right?
Yeah, Texas and Arkansas were in the Southwest Conference, and they have old rivalries and stuff like that. But we were always in the Big 8 and everything like that, so we never played those teams. We played Texas just because of the rivalry, but we always had.
Well, Arkansas was in the Big 8. Also, no, they weren't in the Big 8. They were just in the Southwest Conference.
And then they went to the SEC in '92 after that. So we never, I mean, other than Cotton Bowls and other things like that, we never played Arkansas every year. But Texas, we already had that rivalry, and then we had the rivalry with Nebraska back in the day. Those were our two big ones. But I would love to get a rivalry, get a thing going with Arkansas, especially in football.
I think it'd be fun, and I think it would be a smart move on their part. But I honestly feel like I don't think that Texas A&M should get away with that. I get it if they think that that's an LSU. If LSU and them are building something there, some kind of rivalry, fine. But I also feel like, I mean, because what's going to really end up happening with that second one, if they don't end up giving them to Oklahoma, what's going to happen is it's got to be Ole Miss then.
Yep.
If you start looking at it,
it's going to be one of the Mississippi schools.
It would only be Ole Miss, and then it would be so then you could have either Missouri or Arkansas, and it just seems like.
Well, and I think
even
for
Sankey was
Arkansas
talking about. Sankey brought up Mizzou and Oklahoma in the same sentence about it being renewing
for
the
scheduling
rivalry.
purposes. I mean, we'll beat them every year. I'm cool with that, but it's
true.
one of those
You're
things.
9 out of 10, you probably will for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things with Arkansas though. Their rivals are both to the north and south of them, with LSU to the south and then Missouri to the north, and so you almost have to have those two games for Arkansas for just continuing that rivalry. You definitely, I think, want to keep the LSU one no matter what, because I think that just the gold boot and everything like that, and then you've got the big game that they've had with A&M the last 10 or 12 years and in Jerry World.
Well,
so
and they're always going to play. There. They're always going to play Mississippi State though at at Ole Miss. So
there's some shuffling that the SEC is going to have to do because there's some really good games that. I mean,
so here's the thing: if that's going to happen, then A&M is going to have to play Oklahoma, because let me just tell you why. Arkansas, if they're going to play in that game, that would be one of their either they're going to play Texas or they're going to play Texas A&M, but that's going to be one of their two, right, on their upper side. If they do give them that game, then it's going to kick the other one. It would have to be Texas.
Yep.
It would, so it would kick A&M to Oklahoma, because
it's going to be interesting.
Everything I've seen keeps having LSU playing A&M and the two Mississippi schools. But if they were to, if they are going to keep the Arkansas game, then definitely they have to play Oklahoma. A&M would have to play Oklahoma. If you just look at it, breaking it down.
Yeah.
And folks, I know that a lot of this, folks, this is definitely conjecture.
Hank said OU and Missouri are connected just as well as the Texas game. Not even close.
Are you
with
crazy?
the Red River rivalry, not even in the same ballpark.
No.
I know the big game. I know the big game, the Big Eight stuff. Come on,
Big
man.
Eight flavor, but it's nowhere near.
That's old flavor, bro. That flavor went out of the chewing gum a long time ago, man.
No,
Come on.
I mean,
They suck.
It's got to be a
There's no way
rivalry
that's the
if Missouri beats us every once in a while.
Yeah, and James, this is a good point here. I know that I agree with you on this, James. I feel like this is any of this stuff that everybody's going to get worked up over. And then the truth of it is you're going to play everybody twice every 4 years, both places. So whatever happens, happens.
Well, and that's the thing.
But I'm just telling you, looking at, and everybody's been asking about it. So that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, there's so many different ways you could go in this. And I mean, you're still going to get some great games. You're still going to get.
They should not let
games.
A&M off the hook, though. I think that A&M should, for them running off the way they did,
especially because all the bitching that they've been doing. You know, when they didn't even want us coming in. You know, they were the team that voted against it. So I mean,
yeah, like that was ever going to stop.
I don't think they should. I don't think
they had all those years of getting their ass kicked in the Big 12. So. Why would they want them in?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and think about it. Yeah, I mean, they wanted to be on their own over there. Yeah, we haven't done anything there. So what do you?
Well, I mean, they know because, and I said this on my show. We had one, and then as we were talking about, I think that this move for Oklahoma and Texas is going to affect Texas A&M more than any other school because of recruiting. Because they can't sell, hey, we're in the SEC, you can stay in Texas now. There's going to be 3 teams in the state of Texas recruiting, and as well as Oklahoma and as well as Texas recruits. A&M they know that they're like, dang, we can't use our.
They're screwed.
Our pitch.
They're screwed. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up. Somebody was saying that they might be the team to get the hell out of the SEC after this. Now I think that would be stupid on their part. The money's just too much.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them do it either, and I had that guy yesterday that was on there that he was bitching on from Missouri's standpoint of how they were just trying to get away from Oklahoma and Texas and that, maybe we just go back to the Big 12. I said, yeah, right. They're going to give up their seat at the SEC table.
They're not.
Yeah. Good call. I bet I'm sure they're going to listen to you, bud. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Texas, being able to call their shots in the Big 12 for so many years. They're not going to be able to do that when they roll to the SEC. This horns down stuff and the penalties and all that ain't happening.
Yeah, the penalties for the horns down is gone.
Sorry.
That is so gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you would think that the Big 12 would want them back, right? I mean,
the only draw that you would have to try to go back is if you tried to get some of those teams that we were talking about from the Pac-12. If you got like Colorado and Arizona State, Arizona, some of those schools. But even then, the money, you'd be crazy to leave the SEC right now as well as it's going. And then you also have other sports. I know football is the main revenue maker and everything like that, but A&M have been solid in baseball. They have a pretty good basketball team. They do well.
They should be good at everything, dude. They've got as much money as anybody.
So,
other than maybe Texas, but
you don't leave the SEC.
No, there's no way you can't. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And it'd just be they're just
their facilities
they're going to complain no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh man, no doubt. No doubt.
So they've got money, like you said. I mean, oil money is deep down there. And one thing I want to ask you guys, and I know Coach, we're both coaches, and I coach high school football as well. But what do you think about the move that Jimbo hiring Bobby Petrino? How do you think that's going to work out? Now that we're on the A&M subject.
Yeah, I'm going to start by saying I'm not a Jimbo Fisher fan in any way. So, I'm going to say almost every decision he makes, I think, is not a good one. I don't know, and I've said this before on here. I'm not sure that him and Petrino can coexist.
That's what I said too. When I heard about it, I was like, "Ooh, I don't know, 2 alpha dogs."
Exactly.
Exactly.
I don't think it's a good move.
Yeah, I mean, I get you're trying to make a splash and you're trying to modernize your offense because it's been in the Stone Age for so long. But I mean, he's going to have to give Bobby full control, and I don't know if Jimbo is.
There's no way he does that though, right? I think that there's Kirk in their best movies made since he's been there. I knew you were coming, Kirk, for this question.
Yeah.
we had Kirk on. Obviously, he played college football and stuff, and he's living in Arkansas. I would agree that it was smart. Look, they needed to do it.
Yep.
Now, is he going to give up the freaking reins though,
Yep.
and allow him to do his thing?
If it can work, and
he doesn't have any real.
That's a great move. But for those two guys,
absolutely,
man, it's going to be difficult.
I don't think that
now if they can make it work, certainly
Jimbo's not giving it up.
Yeah.
Okay, bottom line, if he gives it up, kudos to him.
Well, it's just you can go back and listen. And I lived in Northwest Arkansas for a while too, and I remember the days where when Gus came in with as the offensive coordinator at Arkansas under Houston Nutt, and they butted heads, and he wasn't there very long. And boy, if they could have made that work, it would have been good. The same thing I think is setting up for A&M. Really good hire, really good concept, idea. But can they coexist together? Because Bobby is a good offensive coordinator. He knows offense. He had
the guy's one of the smartest offensive minds in the game in the last 20 years. There's no doubt about that.
Arkansas
He's a scummy dude.
He gave Arkansas their best 3 or 4 years of their program when they had, Jarius Wright, all those guys, Joe Adams, and then Ryan Mallett playing quarterback. They lost to Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl, but they were clicking, man. They had one of the best offenses in the country, and Niles Davis at running back. They were going, and then obviously, things happened.
I mean, he made Lamar Jackson win a freaking Heisman Trophy.
Yep.
I mean, this dude is
coach,
and without being able to throw.
If we're just
made
talking
him win the
coaching,
Heisman Trophy.
The guy knows what he's doing.
He's
but
the real deal.
Him and Jimbo together, I don't know. It'll be good must-see TV though.
It will be.
Yeah, I think so too. I have a hard time believing that he's actually going to give up the play calling sheet or what he likes in the offense kind of stuff. I think that he should, but we're going to find out. Is he going to
carry around his little spiral notebook?
I'm gonna just interject this, and again, this is my personal opinion. Jimbo Fisher backstabbed Bobby Bowden back in the day to move into that job.
Yeah,
and I believe that he feels because he did that. I think he feels that always lingering that somebody's fixing to do the same to him, and therefore that's why I think you see he can't give those kinds of things up.
Yeah, and I still think about that too, and what Florida State did to Coach Bowden, and everything that went down there. And it was.
Yeah, man, he earned his being able to leave when he was damn well ready. He was one of those
guys that he was going to get to call his shot. Obviously a different scenario at Penn State when you're talking about Joe Paterno, but those type of guys that have been in the game for a long time, and then obviously completely two different situations, obviously. But with what Bobby Bowden did, Bobby Bowden was Florida State.
He was,
and he should have been able to.
They haven't recovered from it really. I mean, when they. And they haven't recovered from Jimbo is what I'm saying. Yeah. They haven't recovered from Jimbo yet. I still feel like they're down.
I think they're on the right track. Mike Norvell.
I do too. I think Norvell's a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
I think he's a hell of a coach.
Because they have a new administration in now, new athletic director, new regime there, and that's why, because they were going downhill quick.
Yeah. Since we're talking about some other schools, let's jump over for Coach real quick. Coach, what's going on with this offensive coordinator situation with the Notre Dame? I mean, it seems like they're kind of swinging and missing here. What's happening?
Well, and that's exactly what they're doing. And I tell you what, I've been a Notre Dame fan since I was 6 years old, and hell, I'm fixing to turn 63. So I've been in that boat for a long time.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I'm really right now disappointed in our leadership. We're proven not to be a serious program from what I'm seeing. I mean, we've got an endowment fund like we talked about earlier. It's not that goes into hiring the OC, but when you have an endowment fund of over between 13 and $20 billion, paying a little bit to pay for a buyout is not that big.
$2.5 million buyout was what that was for Ludwig. Is that for Ludwig they were talking about?
For Ludwig, yeah, for Andy Ludwig, and I tell you what, from the get go, when Rees left, he was my number one guy on my list. because I think he could have come in there and done.
He would fit the mold great at Notre Dame.
Yes, and then having Hartman coming in there, I think, golly, I think that could have been a great team. But I tell you what, I kind of feel like Notre Dame is kind of giving some lip service from our leadership. It sure looks bad for us right now. Right. And it also brings me to another question, guys. Is that why Brian Kelly truly left? Because
I was just about to ask you.
Those are the reasons that he talked about. And so is he right on the money on that? Because
and the things that
it definitely Marcus fits Freeman, his narrative out the door.
The things that Marcus Freeman's been asking for, the athletic department's been telling him no.
Exactly.
So now does he find a way out?
Well, and
is that why they missed out on Peyton Bowen too?
Yes, I could see, and that brings the other thing up is the other point is how many are going to fly out of there? How many of those good players they've recruited are going to fly out of there? So, I'm just getting, as a fan, I'm getting sick and tired of just being mediocre. Yeah. But it seems like that's our administration just gives us lip service. And
I know a lot of people hate Coach Kelly, but I got to tell you, the dude doesn't do nothing but win. And nobody thought he was going to do anything at LSU.
He's the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. I know he doesn't have national championships, but that says something.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, what were they doing before he got there is the question. I mean, if you think about, aside from that Charlie Weiss year, they were trash.
We sucked.
It was like Texas. They were having turnover after turnover on head coaches. Right.
Absolutely.
It's weird, man. But, and as much as he's an unlikable dude, old Kelly is, and it doesn't seem like they really like him at LSU either. But aside from
he did some things. I mean, hell, when you coach as coaches, 50% are probably going to like you. The other 50% think you suck. I mean,
I heard one of my mentors said, "Hey, if you want to please everybody, don't coach. Go sell ice cream."
Absolutely. Hey, perfect statement. Perfect.
It's absolutely.
It's one of those things. It's a battle, and if you're in the profession of coaching and you want to try to have everybody like you, it ain't gonna happen.
No,
that's for sure. The thing about OU or about Notre Dame right now, you kind of look at it as they were kind of targeting Brian Johnson, Colin Klein from K-State. You can't get him, and then Ludwig. And then they brought him in for the hockey game. They kind of did all that kind of stuff over there. And then they didn't know about the $2.5 million buyout then.
Well, that's the thing that you have to know right away.
Yeah. It
just seems weird.
And again, through the media, you hear different kinds of things. But I tell you what, I also look at what I heard was there was two different buyout clauses. One was like for $500,000, and then the other 2.5 or whatever, 2.1 or whatever. But at the end of the day, you got to know those things. If you're not doing your homework,
there's no way that's the case, man. There's no way.
You're embarrassing.
You have people that you pay in your athletic department to do this.
Swarbrick wasn't. Even Jack Swarbrick doesn't already know that crap whenever he gives a call.
That's a bunch
or
of
any of them. Give me a break.
Yeah.
I don't.
I tell you what, guys, as we what does that look like as we continue moving forward here? I mean, who are we looking at right now? I think they're talking about the tight ends coach, Gerard Parker. Obviously, he's not.
Everybody seems to be pretty high on him. Everybody that's talking about him seems to be talking good things about him.
He was the OC at West Virginia for a while, and I think he brings a little stability from being there. Mm-hmm. So I don't think he's a bad hire, but again, we shouldn't be settling for second tier. We ought to be out there. University of Notre Dame ought to be able to go out and hire a good OC, and they had the opportunity and they screwed it up. Now, I know another name I've continued to hear, two names. One of them doesn't make sense to me, and that's Sean Lewis, the OC in Colorado.
That's not happening.
He's not leaving in Colorado.
He's locked in. And the only other name that's really kind of popping around is a little bit of Charlie Weiss Jr.
Charlie Weiss Jr. Yeah, I did see that too.
And you know what? It's probably a guy to take a look at. He's not done too bad. You know, he's been at Ole Miss for the last couple of years, and they ran the spread. I think he might be able to be good for Hartman. You know, he was with Lane Kiffin at Florida Atlantic and South Florida as co-OC and the quarterbacks coach. And he's also.
I think Cliff Kingsbury's still available, Coach.
I prefer not.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a good match at Notre Dame.
He's the worst coach in history, bro.
Hey,
but he might be a good coordinator.
Hey.
Well, that would take us
terrible,
to a whole
dude.
different conversation.
I can't stand that guy.
Okay, so my I'm not fired up at all about the hire at Arizona. I'm an Arizona Cardinals fan, and
who did they go with finally?
The Eagles defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gannon.
Jeff Grimes will be available after next season.
Jeff Grimes. Hey, what about a guy like, and I know he's an analyst and probably a co-offensive coordinator or some type of role, but a guy like Jeff Scott, he went back to Clemson, but look at him to be the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. That'd be a great fit. Good recruiter.
That would be a good fit.
Good offensive, awesome system. Hey, and I know this may sound funny, but he's a good coordinator, not a very good head coach. A guy like Chad Morris.
Yes.
Shoot, I would go with Chad Morris.
I would be with you all the way on that one. I like Chad. He's like you said, you know, there's those guys that are head coaches and those guys that
he's been a good coordinator. He's been able to recruit and all that stuff. He would, those two names right there, I would knock on their doors.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly.
Guys, obviously, you know, and Coach, I don't want you, before you miss your date, I wanted to make sure we got into that. So, you know,
thank you,
folks, everybody who's enjoying the program, please make sure you've hit the like button. That's for free. You can always make sure that you help us get out there on that algorithm and stuff. We're talking a lot of different stuff tonight, which, you know, I love to do that as well. But just kind of.
I am going to exit, Jason. I got to take my pretty little Valentine out for dinner.
You do that.
I don't have to worry about that. The single life is the good life for me right now.
That's right. I tell you what, though, he's got there's some
Walmart.
Hey, Coach, freaking way hit above his average on this one. Way hit above his average.
I outkicked my coverage, man.
One of these days, maybe. You know, we'll see.
Well, hey,
enjoy it.
I'm on the 20, headed the other direction for a touchdown.
There you go. Pick 6. There you go.
See you guys.
All right, Coach. We'll talk to you later on.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Yeah, so obviously getting I definitely wanted to have Coach get in there and talk a little bit about that a little bit, because it seemed a little weird to me that what was going on. Why is it that Notre Dame's having an issue?
Yep.
It just doesn't make it sense.
It's kind of it makes you wonder for sure.
Yeah. Kind of jumping back, let's see where we were at here. You know, we can talk a little bit about this too. What is going on with Coach Switzer kind of busting chops today? Did you see that in the Tulsa paper? Of course, you live in Tulsa, so
it's just Coach Switzer, man.
That's
wrong
true.
with that.
That's true.
Obviously, if anybody can have an opinion, it's the king.
It's Coach. Yeah, hey man, he can.
So
say
I mean,
and
he's got some good points.
Well, let's just kind of talk about what he was concerned about. I mean, obviously, he said I'm concerned. He said it's going to look like we're playing Texas every weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're good enough right now. Definitely have to get better on defense. But his concern obviously would be, or he said, we're going to have to get a lot better on defense. But I'm concerned. I want to know who's responsible. And I want to see who's going to be the guy that raises his hand and say, I'm the guy that's responsible for the SEC in a few years from now, you know, after they get there, obviously. So it doesn't sound like the king has a lot of high hopes for Oklahoma.
And here's the thing. And I was listening to the guys on KREF today in Norman, home of Sooner fans. If you guys don't download them, Sooner fans, go download the KREF app. Dude, they are awesome. Chris Plank, all those guys over there do a great job. Tyler McComas, Teddy Lehman, all those guys. And they were talking.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Coach. When he says, I'm concerned is not worrying. Okay? So I don't think he's necessarily worried. I just think he's pointing out things that we need to work on, and we all know as a fan base and everything like that.
It's nothing new. None of that stuff is new. Right.
And so I don't think it's a jab or a shot at anybody. I just think it's true. I think we are a couple years away. We need to stack the interior of the defensive line, offensive line. That's where you win in the SEC. You win in the trenches, and the defense is going to have to be more solid, obviously. And you're going to have to continue.
Well, when you look at the last two recruiting classes, this is where they're going with it
and
too.
I think
There's a reason behind all that.
We're in that trajectory. I think we're headed that way, but you're not going to really know until you get your first or second season in the SEC to kind of use as a measuring stick. So I don't think it's a jab or a shot at anybody. I think it's just simply saying, it is.
I agree with this one, Hank. He said exactly right. Us old guys have opinions without filters.
That's right. I mean,
I know my grandpa. I know my granddad, and he was an old coach. And man, he was a lot nicer.
When you win 3 national championships and a Super Bowl, you're allowed to speak. So
I would agree. Yeah, I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah, and I don't think he meant to take shots at anybody. I think it's just it's valid.
Look, man, a lot of people are taking shots, and here's the thing: it's fine if he was, because as you said, he earned the opportunity to say what needs to be said. I don't know that. I think that he was a Lincoln guy. He really liked Lincoln, and I know he's been hanging around with Kale a lot, and I know Kale liked Lincoln, and so a lot of these things that are getting said, you just never kind of know, what might be coming from where. And again, he's definitely doesn't have a filter, and he's wondering out loud whether they're there yet. I think we all know, if you're an OU fan, it's easy to say that you're nice and completely confident in them going and being ready to win a national championship by like the 4th year. But the truth is, they got to go out and prove it. Yep. They've definitely recruited in the right way. I think that all of these guys absolutely have recruited very well. If you're in the top 4, the only 2 teams that recruited better than OU in Texas were Georgia and Alabama. So when you look at and especially, it's not even the fact that you recruited well; it's where you recruited the best, and it was on defense. How many 6 top 100 players?
Yeah, but we still need to do a better job up front, especially the defensive line. Then next year, 2024 could be a very, very good year for us.
You're talking interior defensive line, because on the outside they did great.
We'll see.
Yeah,
you guys hadn't played it down yet, so we'll see. I have that coach mentality. I'll believe it when I see it, and you gotta do the right things. Yeah, you have the skill set, but potential is potential until it turns into actual.
Sure. Well, and I mean, but here's the thing. I mean, what I'm telling you is that we weren't getting any of the guys that they were getting.
No, it's certainly progressing in the right direction.
And when you start looking, exactly, that's what I'm saying. Because when you start looking at, first off, they did well in the portal on the interior of the defensive line, which that's great, because these guys are probably going to come in ready. Yeah. And on the edges, when you start looking at like Deshaun McCullough, and I think PJ is going to come in ready. It just looks like he's going to come in ready, right?
He's a true freshman. That's why there's very few true freshmen come in and start. There's a reason why there was only one true freshman on the defensive line the whole time during the Bob Stoops era started right away, and that was Tommy Harris. Guys that are
Tommy Harris. Holy crap!
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we're talking on the edge, though.
Yeah,
he's going to play. He's going to play. I think that. Look, man, there's just, and then you start looking at some of these. I think the secondary, when you start looking at Peyton Bowen's probably going to make an impact. I mean, and they've got some guys that you would hope are going to be ready to go from last year.
You still got the 918 kids, man. You got Robert Spears Jennings, you got Gentry Williams, you got some of these guys that are going to ready. You got Billy Bowman coming back healthy. Billy
looked really good in the freaking bowl game.
So you're going to have more depth back there in the secondary. Obviously, Woody Washington coming back is going to be huge for us. You've got Kendall Dalby, who's a really good JUCO transfer coming in. At corner, stuff like that, you're going to be a lot deeper in the secondary, probably the deepest we've been in a really long time. So I love the secondary. I love the what we're doing back there. And then obviously linebackers, you got a lot of talent with Danny Stutzman coming back and Jaron Kanak and some of these guys.
So what are you hearing about Kanak? That's something that I've been wanting.
I think he'll play in the box. He'll be more of an inside Will Mike type of linebacker.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of waiting to really see something out of him. You didn't see a whole lot of
Well, and then
time,
obviously
really.
when
But
spring
then when
gets
he
going,
did get
you'll really know. But I think he'll play a lot in the box.
okay,
Yep.
yeah. And again, yeah, I was with you on Billy Bowman, man. I kind of feel like that. I mean, he kind of showed in that bowl game.
Yep.
Obviously, offensively, I don't think I know that they didn't. They lost obviously with Theo Weiss leaving, and then losing.
Yeah, I don't think
Marvin.
Theo is a bigger loss than. I mean, yeah, it's a win, but Marvin was really is going to be.
Marvin was the loss. No, I'm just saying they did lose two guys that were more regulars. And Marvin, I kind of felt like it was a little early for Marvin to leave, but I also feel like when you start looking at some of the guys that are young guys, I mean, they're going to have I still feel like offensively, look, you've got two unbelievable guys with. If you get what you got out of Sawchuk in for the regular season next year, wow.
Well, I think up front is going to be key for us. Offensive line,
sure.
We got some pieces to fill up there. Roush was a good transfer coming in
from Stanford.
And I think the running back room is going to be good. And then obviously you've got guys like Jalil Farouk. You got the Michigan transfer and Anthony coming in. You got some of these guys that can Nick Anderson and some of these young guys that can come up. Jaden Gibson. Some of these guys are going to get an opportunity. And then obviously with Stogg coming in again, I'm really excited about Austin Stogner. And then you've got like Caden Helms. Some of these guys that are going to
he's going to make a big impact there too.
So,
I agree with you.
Yep.
I agree with you 100%.
I think the offensive line is going to be the biggest key for us.
It always is, and when you've got the best offensive line coach probably in the country, so I definitely they don't.
Well,
I don't
another
generally
year
get
with a lot of these guys in the system, they're not having to come in and learn on the fly. It's going to be another chance for them to be more comfortable.
Something I saw from Lebby yesterday when he was on
the Oklahoma Breakdown.
The Oklahoma Breakdown, yeah, and where he was saying, "Look, it's night and day from this time last year."
Oh yeah. Well, you're coming in as a new staff. You're scrambling. You're trying to get playbooks. You're trying to learn everything. You're trying to recruit. You're trying to do all these things, and a lot of time is spent, not developing because you're trying to get things in place and set a foundation. Now, it's hey, we know what to expect. We know what's coming when you walk through those doors. You know where
that's exactly what he said,
and stuff like that, and it's
what's expected of you at Oklahoma. What's on a day-to-day basis.
And another thing that was brought up that he said that I liked was, everybody made a big deal about Dylan Gabriel being a veteran quarterback, knowing the system, but he was coming into a new place as well.
That's right.
He didn't know a lot of these guys.
Hey, and listen, the guy was freaking Big 12 income. He was incoming Big 12 guy of the year,
newcomer of the year,
newcomer of the year. So I mean, you start thinking about, and they had a top 13 in the country offense with him missing 2 games.
Yeah.
Anytime that people were throwing those strays at Lebby and Dylan Gabriel, I hated it because when you look at, they were 26th or something in the country on defense. If you do what they did just this past season on offense, and they're number 60 in the country, they're going to win 10 games.
Sure. Yeah, it's just another opportunity. Another year to be in the system and understand. And then obviously defense, you're learning 2 new schemes on offense and defense and a new culture, a new system, new staff. And you're that much more ahead of the curve now, for year 2. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some places that everybody needed to improve. I know that, I would hear the next thing that's going to come into the messages will be, they need to control the clock. I'll hear that for sure. I know that's coming. And so offensively, they do need to do some of those things. None of these things are new territory that we're breaking. But.
And Coach, and let's be honest, as great as Coach Campbell is as a defense coordinator, he still needs to learn how to become a head coach. And that's just everybody. That's a learning curve, who takes on a first-time head coach. You have to learn things. And you have to be less hands-on with the stuff that you're.
I'd love him to be a little more of himself as a coach.
And that's going to come. That's part of the beast, part of a new role, part of learning and growing.
I was great. I was happy with the hire when they made it. I still am now, particularly with the way that they're recruiting. I'm excited about the recruiting.
Now we just got to put it on the field.
Sure, absolutely. And it's time for him to do it. I feel like you kind of need to win. You need to win this conference on the way out. One of these two blue bloods need to get this thing and win it and kind of dominate on the way out.
And one of the blue bloods need to do it.
Yeah, there you go.
No, we're not even having that. Don't even.
All I know is that I think they both need to be playing for it.
I would like that.
That would be fun on the way out. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, Kim, you're right there. Kind of handcuffed him because he didn't let him run him up. Yeah, I've heard a lot of that too. Once he got hurt, it was pretty obvious that they kind of put the brakes on that. You couldn't afford. It was clear that they couldn't afford to get him hurt again, especially when they didn't. I think the mistake that I would say they made was not letting Nico play. That was all I got to say. They should have let him play during that time. Yeah. Nick Evers, they should have let him play. But aside from that, I mean,
I love them. Really good friends with their family. I talked to Derek quite a bit. Yeah, good family. I'm excited for what he's going to do at Wisconsin and under Coach Fickle. It's going to be cool.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Yeah, and what a great move for Coach Fickle.
Yeah.
I mean, he's yeah. I think that's a big move for Wisconsin to get him. And if I was Ohio State, I would have got him instead. Man, what a knucklehead! I think that Ryan Day is freaking Lincoln Light. That's just me. We were just talking about this a few minutes ago, though, before you got on. Do the officials allow that to even happen, though? Does the Big 12 allow that? I mean, talk about last year. There was 4 holding calls against opponents of Oklahoma and Texas, and one of them was against an Oklahoma opponent. I mean, does the back judge? I mean, do we get a streaking Jalil Farouk going down the sideline and get him tripped up by a back judge?
We'll see.
I mean,
yeah. Well, it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of officiating we get this year, knowing that full well that this is our last year in the Big 12. So
I don't know that they can allow it. I just don't know that they're going to allow it. Oh man. And again, I hadn't seen it again, but I know live on the Texas Tech game that kick looked good to me. It just did.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, they didn't have a camera right underneath the goalpost apparently to replay it. So I don't know. It was a little weird. Weird. So we'll see. We'll definitely see what happens.
It was a little sussy.
A little sussy.
Yeah, a little sussy.
Definitely something.
Yeah.
All right. Talking Big 12 though, and we'll kind of end on this one. I'm glad for the sake of the Big 12. I mean that they got Brett Yormark. This guy is a deal maker. He made this thing happen, and he needed to make this happen. And you know why? I think that sitting on your hands right now and worrying about Oklahoma and Texas would have been detrimental to this league. For the people that are remaining fans of the Big 12 in any way, you needed this guy, right? You needed this guy because right now, all you got to do is just kind of nudge and the Pac-12 should fall over.
Yep.
If he was worried about Oklahoma and Texas and what's going to happen in this next year or whatever, he was not going to do what he needed to do. And I still hear people wanting to go back to the old way of like how Bob Bowlesby would have done it and just not do anything. This guy needs to, I would chop the legs off of him right now. Go ahead and grab SMU just to do it so that they can't get them. And then you go get whichever teams out of the Pac-12 that you want. Get those 4 corner schools, something.
Yeah, you start with Colorado first.
I think Colorado's the number 1 pick too, but honestly, don't know. I really think Utah is because of the Holy War game. If you get them, Utah, Colorado would be my number 1 priorities. But
those 2 would be
really,
great.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in the Arizona schools don't hurt anything for the basketball conference at all. But I don't know why you're talking about Gonzaga and everything. Who cares about those guys? Go get
basketball's already good, and it's the best basketball conference in the country right now.
It is, but it only gets better that way. It definitely gets better that way.
Yeah. No, I think what they did with those 4 teams coming in was pretty good because you got BYU, you've got Cincinnati, Central Florida, and Houston. I think you did a good job of being proactive and continuing to push forward and doing what you needed to do to help solidify your conference.
Well, they had to do that, but you can't. I don't think that with the way that the landscape is changing so fast, Drew, and this is how I feel about it.
Yeah, you couldn't sit on your hands.
If they go back to, you cannot continue to sit on your hands and say, 12 is enough. They need to be at minimum 16, I think.
Well, especially with what the Big Ten and the SEC are about to do. And
Absolutely,
they're going to jump to 20 teams in the next 5 to 8 years.
Absolutely. So if you don't, so there's not going to be any inventory left if you don't get it now. And I really feel like the more that you hear out of the Pac-12 right now, they sent that message out yesterday about that they were so, confident. If you're that confident, why are you putting that out? Yeah. When they put that memo out there like that to the media, that screams.
Maybe they were just trying to make themselves feel better.
I don't know who they were trying to convince
giving themselves
it didn't work.
Talk, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe, huh? Right? And no, it just seems weird. So to me, and to me, this is the time when you're glad you've got a guy like Brett Yormark because he doesn't give a shit.
Nope.
He doesn't have to give a shit about the Pac-12. He doesn't. He's doing a job. He's getting paid well for it. Yeah. It's to me, he's got
a lot of connections too.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, he does, man. Oh yeah, man. He was running Jay-Z's company.
I'm telling you, so, he can get the money together.
Absolutely. And here's the thing: that money that you got out of OU in Texas, that's money that they can use to entice some of these.
I think it's a good move for everybody because you're getting OU in Texas. They're going to do what they want to do, and the Big 12 can move on to their new era of the conference. So it's it's a win-win for everybody right now.
I agree with that. And I just feel like, and that's something that I said earlier, I said it on the weekend after they had made the announcement, was that everybody should, if you're a Big 12 fan, and I got a lot of heat for it, because this is the guy that could keep you from G5 status is what it's going to end up once Oklahoma and Texas are gone. Agree. Who's going to matter? Who's going to carry the conference then? You got to go find that team because right now it's not there. It's not there.
Hank made a good point. I'm going to be interested to see what Scott Satterfield does at Cincinnati with that, what they look like after Luke Fickell. It'll be interesting.
Yep. Yeah, listen, I mean, they're used to winning, and I know Satterfield's a pretty good coach, man. I think that he's going to be all right. Is he?
I wouldn't go that far.
Is he Fickell? Nope.
He's not Fickell. No.
Not Fickell. And he's not Brian Kelly, who was the guy before him.
Yep.
So,
good track record.
I have a hard time.
Yep.
Or was Tuberville in between there?
I can't remember. I know that Kelly was there and Fickell and all that, and they've had a pretty good track record of some coaches doing some good stuff. And Marcus Freeman was actually there as a defensive coordinator before he went.
He was
to Notre Dame, so they've had some good staff.
Marcus is, and I think that's the thing is that Notre Dame has a good coach. They're lucky that they do, but
let him do his thing though.
They do need to let him do his thing, and maybe that's why they're having some issues with not necessarily with Peyton Bowen. I know that Peyton was going to go to OU. That was an obvious thing. It was all about his parents in Notre Dame. But when it comes to, you start thinking about, why some of these other guys ended up flipping. There's something going on with this NIL stuff, and I think that a lot of schools there's a lot of these money folks out there that are like, why are we going to give this kind of money? It was obviously with Rashada, but there was a contract there. They showed us the contract. It was there. So for him to not get that money, that's good for the Pac-12 right now at Arizona State. But if you go get Arizona State, there's a 5-star quarterback in your league.
Yeah, and especially of what they've done as far as their hiring of Kenny Dillingham and that staff.
Dillingham is unbelievable, man. I was going to ask you what you thought about him. He's a great coach.
Samples is a big hire for them too.
You did get Samples, huh?
Yep. So if they can start, winning some games out there, then the Pac-12 could be in trouble. And if they lose teams like that are winning, if Oregon decides to go and do something, and
I think if they lose one, it's over, man. If they lose one,
if one of those big pieces like Oregon, Utah, Colorado start falling, then I think the Pac-12 could be a wrap.
So I don't really believe that the Big Ten is done. I know everybody thinks that because of Kevin Warren leaving and there was some presidents that don't really want to freaking screw with them. I even heard Dennis Dodd say that. But I feel like they have to be looking at it thinking, okay, if we don't move now and we need to move later, what happens then?
Yep.
Because there's not going to be any inventory left.
No, there's not the shuffling and realignment is not even close to being done.
I don't think it is either. And even though I think that was another smart. It's just like the same crap they said the year before they took USC and UCLA that we're not going to poach from each other. I wouldn't believe a thing that they said.
Money talks.
Absolutely. And you know that Washington and Oregon are waiting on their Big Ten invite.
Yep.
But so how much time, if you're Yormark, do you spend talking to those dudes? I mean, you throw a pitch at them, see what you can get. But I would definitely focus on Colorado right now. Just the Coach Prime effect would help this conference.
You wait this year and you see what they do, and then you reach out.
Right now, when they're having to prove why they don't have a deal, and everything I keep hearing is, here's the deal: there's not any landscape left on regular television. Really, everything's going to be streaming, and that is not going to get them the money they want. That's why they don't have a deal yet.
Yep.
So
it'll be interesting.
It's going to be the first more streaming deal, and that's some of these folks that are not everybody's ready to stream. I mean, I love it, but not everybody's ready to stream yet. There's no way if they can't even get the $31 million that the Big 12 is getting, and they're not, obviously, because they got it first.
I think the Pac-12 it's
dead.
They're not long for pasture. So
yeah, it's definitely. I agree with you. I think that's why I said I think you just need to nudge them now. I would not sit on my hands if I was Brett Yormark. No, I would go for the
I think there's probably some conversations that are already being had too. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I agree. Folks, let us know what you think about everything in the comments. Drew, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and your two shows. He's obviously got the Under Official Review pod. You also have the other one. Go ahead.
Anything OU podcast. Yeah, we do the Under Official Review podcast. Me and my buddy Zach Merrill, we cover college football and NFL stuff. We have a good time doing that. We just dropped a video today. Actually, a couple. We did one last night with Jason. We did the SEC expansion, and then the one I had a guest on today, actually with Ty Hayes, talking about Todd Monken and his hiring at Baltimore with the Ravens, and then now Mike Bobo taking over as the offensive coordinator at Georgia. So go check that video out. You can search us, find us on YouTube, the Under Official Review podcast. Our logo and everything's down there. And then we do I cover OU as well with the Anything OU podcast. We do strictly OU content all across the board, all the sports, everything like that. You can find us on all the major social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Apple, Spotify. For all you audio guys, all you people that listen to audio, you can find us over there too as well. And always fun to get on here and chat sports with my man Jay. So,
man, I appreciate you coming on too. I saw you in there, and I was like, man, I meant to send you an invite. I'm glad you came in. Guys, make sure that you get over there and check out Drew's. They're doing a lot of good stuff. They need to start getting their subscriber numbers up as well, get more views. Like same thing I asked for you guys from here. Get in there, I love doing these live shows because we do get to Dakota, we're always here for you, man. We're going to be here every week. We might be doing another one as things kind of happen. We're going to start getting back into 2 a week for sure. But I'm trying to put out as much content as I can. I actually love interacting with everybody in here too. These live ones are much more fun for me. I love having you guys kind of talking here as well. But guys,
I'll drop a quick comment in the chat here so you guys can find our stuff.
Yes, definitely. Do that stuff. Yeah. And guys, so make sure you get over there, check them out. Also, he's always on the Horns Down podcast with our boy Chris. Chris Griffin, the Horns Down podcast
with Ty Hayes and all them. So
Ty Hayes, I know you guys all know who Ty is and Around the Table Sports. I mean, that guy's been killing it.
Jay with Unfair Sports as well. PG.
Jay with Unfair Sports. I love all these guys. Yep. Yeah, definitely. So make sure that you get over there, check all these guys out. And yeah, man. Well, the good news, Dakota, is you can always make sure that you can always check out the rest of it as well. You'll get to watch it all the time because we make sure that it stays up on, and I'll even cut it into some different segments and things like that, so everybody gets a chance to watch it all. But I appreciate everybody coming in here. Anybody that obviously do hit that like button here. If you're not already a subscriber, I know most people are. but make sure you do that as well. We've had at least 25, 26 people in here for most of this. I hope we got that many likes on here. We need to get a few more likes. That definitely helps the algorithm for everybody, folks. So if you're here, make sure you hit that thumbs up button for us. You can always help support the show again through on Cash App, Venmo, or through that super chat.
I'm trying to throw it down there, and it's not showing up. I don't know what's going on. So
is it not? Okay, we'll have it. It's actually it's already in the description now. So
cool.
Both of those are in the description right now. Yep. So you can go in there and find them there. I'll make sure about it whenever we get off.
If you guys want to check out, we had an awesome interview with Chris Plank here a couple of days ago over on the Anything OU, doing a softball preview over there as well. So he breaks down the softball. Those girls are beating people to sleep. So love that. And then we're actually have Deshaun White video coming out here soon, just recapping his career at OU, stuff like that. Some really good interviews in the future. And then we have one big interview coming up in April that you guys will love. Has to do with football, and so it'll be good.
I threw it in there right there.
There it is.
Official Review Podcast. Yeah, check the description. Make sure it's in there. I'm pretty sure I threw it in there already.
There you go.
So if you guys do that, no problem. Thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate you guys coming in, and definitely make sure that hey, it's going to be a good. I'm excited about the future. I know that Drew is as well, and definitely we will see you on the next one. But thanks a lot, guys, for coming in, and we'll see you. Oh.